AI and robots will replace all jobs. Working will be optional. Growing your own vegetables instead of buying them from the store. He has to change the mindset of not just like everyday people. I think everyday people want the option, but like there's groups of people who find like the idea of work not happening to be almost heretical, like
Mm,
anti-American and almost ungodly, almost demonic, I would say. I know it goes far out there, and I know you know me well enough that I get into these weird religious things because I find that stuff interesting, but that's where my mind goes. Where I don't think it's if I think it's going to be like you're following the robot around and like polishing their shoes or something. Like it's going to be like really demeaning, stupid work.
it's like
It's
the
bullshit.
Jetsons.
Hello, this is Hello Roboto. I'm Phil, and this is Tim, the co-host. This is the show talking about AI stuff. So that's the introduction, and so this is episode 1. So what's going on?
Not much. Well, it's AI stuff and just tech stuff, right? Isn't
Yeah,
that?
AI and tech stuff. I mean, everything's like AI stuff. I think
Yeah.
at this point, like everything's internet at this point, and then like slowly everything's becoming AI, or at least AI touched and influenced in some way. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't throw a stick without seeing an AI article about something. So
Yeah. It's kind of it's kind of eating the world right now. Um, I'm gonna pull up another podcast. I listened to one called Raising Health.
uh-huh.
Yeah, it's an Andreessen Horowitz podcast. So some of
Uh-huh.
their team members bringing in some portfolio companies, typically their founders, and everything is AI, and it's focused around health.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Explain who these people are, because I don't think I know who these people are.
Uh,
What's the name of the podcast again? Because I think I might have talked over you when you said it.
Raising Health.
Raising Health, and then who are the
Yes.
guys? Horowitz.
Andreessen Horowitz. Yeah. So it's a VC, venture capitalist.
Oh, that was a guy.
Um,
Okay.
yeah. So it's started by uh, Ben Horowitz and Mark Andreessen,
Mm.
uh, both successful tech entrepreneurs from the past, like in the 90s, I think. I have to Wikipedia it, but they started that VC and then has since grown it to one of the most prominent, if not the prominent, tech VCs in the world.
Wow.
They have when they're big in funds is doing health investment,
Yeah.
which is really cool. They were one of the big ones that pushed kind of like the crypto investments and really got that market a lot bigger than maybe it should have been.
Yeah.
But but yeah, just listen. I mean, that's a really good podcast if you're into that when it comes to like health AI, because all
Hmm.
of the founders so far, it's all AI stuff, and how it's being utilized in health in the healthcare industry.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. I mean, I think of all the industries that AI seemed like it's the most positive, it's the health industry, and not taking away jobs from like nurses or doctors or anything like that, but just helping with diagnosis. It does seem to be able to like pinpoint in like a very objective way, like what's going on. Um, because I mean, I
Yes.
think a lot of diagnosis is like you check off a bunch of boxes and you try to like eliminate things. And so AI is very good at like checking off boxes and data and just like eliminating certain things. Not all the time, obviously, with hallucinations, but like for the most part, I think probably the best.
Yeah. So explain what a hallucination is.
Hallucination is just an error when they get it wrong. You know, I heard somebody, who was I listening to? I think I was listening to Team Human. I'm horrible with names. I forget the guy's name. I know what his face looks like, but I can't remember his name. But Team Human, he's a writer, a very prominent tech writer. Um, and I think it was him, but people were talking about like hallucinations of like AI as if it's like conscious of this. And so we talk about hallucinations when they come back. Like we ask them a question, they come back. We say like, "What's 2 + 2?" and they come back with like 5, and we'll be like, "That's a hallucination," but really, it's just an error. It's just they're wrong about what they're talking about, like what they're doing. So they're like, and and it gets more complex of like, what was the festival happening in 1965 or whatever, and they'll just like, Woodstock happened like in 69, I think, like, and but they'll just like make something up or whatever and
Right.
just like throw it out there and then like make up a reference for it. And because they're trying to appease the user is like what the goal is, or how they were trained was to appease the user. And so like you get this like, oh, that's a brilliant idea. That's great. That's awesome. But then like on top of that, you get the errors of like, here's the information you're looking for. I don't want to tell you I don't know. So I'm just going to make something up. I'm trying to like make you feel better.
Yep. That's what it is, right? It's
Yeah.
it is an error. But it's even a deeper error. It's not something that's like, with programming, you get these errors and it's like, oh,
Uh-huh.
here's the log, here's, um, it's an 401 error, or 404 not found error or something, whatever status
Like
it might be.
yeah. So like there's a disconnect in the programming. Like you're trying to like ping something or you're trying to make an equation happen and there's like a stopgap, like, right. And
Right.
you could
So it
find it.
stops you
So you could,
with traditional
yeah,
programming, but
there's like a
yeah,
comma missing or a semicolon missing. You can track that down. That's what you're
right.
saying.
Exactly. Yeah. Or if you're doing unit testing, you can do
Uh-huh.
traditional unit testing of like, hey, here's my input, here's my expected output, vice versa. Well, before you deploy and all this stuff. So you have traditional programming, you have all these safety nets
Uh-huh.
to detect errors or um yeah, and help fix them. But with and you're totally right with hallucinations, it's an error. And yeah, it is. It's say you have a large model has
Uh-huh.
a, what's the latest open source version for the chat GPT? It's a 40 billion. That's the smaller one. They
Uh-huh.
have 120 billion um data points in there, but the 40 billion version, which is the small one, which is still huge, it thinks it knows everything. That's how
Uh-huh.
LLMs are built, right? And it's like, hey, it's like it's almost like talking to a kid. I think about it as
Uh-huh.
like talking to like like maybe a 5 or 6 year old,
Uh-huh.
and you're like, hey, uh tell me a story about what you did today, and they're like, okay,
Uh-huh.
cool, like let me tell you. And what they did was probably just play with Legos,
Yeah.
but what the kid thinks is like, man, I went to space and I did this and I went and did this, and like
Yeah.
that's their truth, but in their head, but the reality is they didn't do any of that, right?
Yeah.
And that's how I see it. With hallucinations, it's like they're just making stuff up. It's what they think is right, and that's what they think what the human wants to hear.
Yeah.
Uh, and it's really interesting. Yeah, it's scary, especially for healthcare.
Yeah. Yeah.
'Cause
I
that's
mean,
one place you
like,
can't really mess up. So,
yeah. I mean, clearly, I'm not saying like the healthcare thing, like you just run with the diagnosis, but I mean, it should take some of the cognitive load off of the doctors, so that way they can like,
mhm,
run through it and look at it rather than
right.
like having to sit there and go, oh, okay, let me think about what this is. Or, and usually it's like, this is from like watching Scrubs. Like everything's usually like very common diagnosis. And then like occasionally there'll be something like out of left field. And I forget what they called it, like zebra something like they like a new doctor will think that it's some kind of crazy new disease that's like way out of left field. And so they'll go down this rabbit hole looking for this information. But it's usually like a common thing, like a series of common things. Um, and so if it is, off, I'm just like saying like, if it is like this left field item, I think AI could list like, the common things and then like the possibilities of like left field stuff and the doctor can evaluate based on that list. Which I think will make it easier to like, kind of just check out, because sometimes there's stuff missing, and that's what drives everybody crazy about healthcare. But like, they're human beings, so you don't know what their day's like. You don't know what's going on with them. So that's where I that's why I think like AI would probably be the best for that industry. All other industries, I get skeptical about. I don't know. I get a little iffy about, though. I've read recently, or I saw recently, that Elon Musk is talking about jobs being optional. Possibly, I think he tweeted that. Hold on, let me pull it. I have it up here because I thought it was so funny. He was replying to somebody. Oh, AI and robots will replace all jobs. Working will be optional, like growing your own vegetables instead of buying them from the store, which I think is such a weird comparison, because I think I think of the word free, and we have this phrase of like free as in beer, not as in speech. You know what I mean? Like, in order to like designate that free means something else within the context of what you're talking about. So jobs being optional, like vegetables, like buying, like growing your vegetables versus going to the store, that doesn't make sense to me, like as a one for one comparison. But I guess, I'm not the smartest man alive, so what do I know? But it's just such a weird phrasing. But I also think it's not true. Um, Maybe it will be, but I doubt it.
Yeah.
I
There's always going to be someone who needs to work, in my opinion, who's going to maintain these
Yeah.
server. At some point, it could be completely autonomous, right? We're talking about
Mm-hmm.
like the Terminator world where they're, building themselves and creating their own.
Self-replicating,
That's
and
like
yeah.
that's yeah, self-replicating, just like you know, at that point, there's just like the nanotechnology, and the guy turns into like aluminum
Mm-hmm.
goop or whatever. It might get there. That's the thing. Like that's future. That's potentially true. Um,
Yeah.
so I don't know how far, far off in history Elon's trying to
Well,
talk about. Because if it's like in 5 years, like five
mm-hmm.
years from now is going to be a huge difference. We're going to see
Yeah.
in 1 year, we're going to see a massive change. We're
Mm-hmm.
if we can get to the autonomous version of an actual agent, um,
Mm-hmm.
which some people are saying actually exists. They just haven't released it yet. I don't know. Maybe it has, but um, I guess I can see that happening though for a lot of jobs. Yeah, I don't know.
I could, but the thing I think gets me is like we live in this society where work is important, and it comes from like this um Protestant mindset of like work is a virtue, is like a godly virtue type of deal. That's why you see people in government being like they need to work in order to get these XYZ. Otherwise they're going to be lazy. But it's like they're fearing for somebody's soul. Like, work is a godly pursuit, and it's kind of mixed in with American, like work is a virtue. That's why when prisoners go they have to work. There's like literally used to be like a machine that people would crank in order to just give them work. Treadmills was invented to give people, like prisoners, work. They had to do something physical because it's so ingrained, as at least in Western society, that work is something that you have to do. It shouldn't be optional. Um, it is like a penance, but also just like a way of like working through some kind of weird thing. Uh,
Yeah.
and that's what like that's that comes from like both church and state. It's very weirdly ingrained in our society, and we don't think about it. So to me, he has to change the mindset of not just like everyday people. I think everyday people want the option, but like there's groups of people who find like the idea of work not happening to be almost heretical, like
Mhm.
anti-American, and almost ungodly, almost demonic, I would say. I don't know it goes far out there, and I know you know me well enough that I get into these weird religious things because I find that stuff interesting. But that's where my mind goes, where I'm like, I don't think it's if I think it's going to be like you're following the robot around and like polishing their shoes or something. Like it's going to be like really demeaning, stupid work.
It's like
It's
the
bullshit.
Jetsons.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how I see it with AI, like the Jetsons, and you're still working.
Mhm.
Like you might have just like
Mhm.
an office job where you kind of just push papers for no reason.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's going to be like a
So
bullshit
what
job. It's just,
George Jetson was doing, like I don't even know what he worked in. It was just like some manufacturing
it
thing
was
where they like, all right,
Sprogs and cogs and stuff like that. Like it's just nonsense. And he pushed a button all day. That's all he did.
Right. I think I think you have a really good point though. Yeah, it is very ingrained, and especially in our culture. It's not. I don't know if it's all in Western culture. I think a lot of it is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but if you go, was it Swiss? The Swiss government just announced a 4-day work week.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say they just announced it. They've been talking about it for a while.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, that's actually getting to the point of changing culture
Yeah.
norms. And I'm like, if we can get to that point here in the United States or North America in general, that'd be cool. Like Canada
Yeah.
would probably be first one to do it, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, I'd be like, okay, cool. Like you don't have to work 5 days a week or more. Like 4 is enough. We
Yeah.
have enough people. Our unemployment rate is a lot. And we have enough people to say, okay, cool, we can actually just work 3 days a week and then the other people work the other 3 days or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, just working one person's 5 to 7 days a week is normal. And
Yeah.
yeah, exactly that. Like it doesn't have to be. And how do we change that? Like, yeah, maybe the prediction is like, oh, cool. Like we had to have some wealthy person tell us that it's
I,
okay. How about we
I,
just do it?
I don't,
Like just
idle hands are the devil's playthings, right?
yeah, that's
That's the
just
mentality of it, and that's why we don't have it. I mean, we've had like for weekends, like just getting the weekends, we like there had to be strikes, and people died in order to get us like a normal work week, like 5 days a week, 40 hours a week
yeah,
type of deal. Um, and
yeah,
there was predictions, I think, in the 60s and 70s that we would move towards leisure, like a leisure society, but obviously not because we live in this. It's all weirdly integrated by capitalism and like this need to like work, and then also those who own it and all this kind of stuff. And people talk about like reducing hours, like 4-day work week here in America. I think people talk about that. When people talk about that, I think everyone gets kind of excited for it, but I think there's a large majority of the population that gets nervous because they're like 4 days. Like I can't survive on 4 days of salary, or what I mean, they think their salary is going to shrink. It
right.
shouldn't,
It shouldn't.
but I
Exactly.
think the mentality is like, oh, since my workload's shrinking, I'll probably get paid less because the top level is going to pay less, and so that's why AI is like so. I think scary to me about taking jobs because it's like I don't see people having a universal basic income, or like I just don't. I think it's going to be a hard fought battle to get that. I don't see like owners of AI willingly giving that. Like they're not even like giving taxes for universal health care. Like they're not even
Well,
willing to do that.
yeah. And that's the thing. Like it's a weird time because I think of like Wall-E. That's another great
Mm-hmm.
example. Like run by these autonomous robots doing a lot of the jobs we don't want to do. And what
Yeah.
were the humans? The humans were just living on this ship. They all left the Earth because it basically just destroyed it, and just sitting in recliners and just being
Mm-hmm.
fed entertainment. And that's it. That's all they did, right?
Yeah.
That was the existence of humans at that point. Like, and I think that's
Yeah.
what people were thinking is going to happen, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, if people aren't going to work, they're just going to sit,
Yeah.
and, what does sitting do? It causes all these other problems. And then there goes all this, this big chain of events, and I think a portion of society probably will.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a massive portion of society who's just going to take up those hobbies that they really love, or multiple
Yeah.
hobbies and be like, cool, I don't have to do this for money. I can just do this because I really love it,
Yeah.
and it's like, okay, cool. I can, yeah, having that survival of minimal income
Mm-hmm.
is that a reality? Then we're getting into more economical discussions
Yeah.
because I'm like, at this, not a, we can't even agree on raising minimum wage, let alone
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't even think about talking about even see a discussion happening at any level of government
No.
about, oh hey, like let's give people a certain amount of money then just so they can live because also the government just took away or about to take away and discontinue EBT and all this
Mm-hmm.
support. I'm like, why are we even talking about it if we can't even just do something today? Like that's where I'm getting. I'm like, yeah, I can see
Yeah.
the future. I don't see the future as well because we can't take care of the present. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
No, I agree. Yeah, I agree. And I think you're right. I think humans will just fill up empty space if their jobs are not there. If they have leisure time. I mean, you saw that in lockdown. Everyone just like kind of
right.
started walking and doing yoga and having hobbies, and everyone, not everyone, but a lot of people are like, "Oh my God, I have mental space for the first time." But
It's true.
I also agree that like, yeah, we're not doing it now. That's why like Elon's tweet doesn't mean much to me. Like it just means like he's just saying that to just kind of fill the space up and like and say something that's semi, I think, intellectual, like futuristic or like a futurist thing to say. It's not really. It really doesn't mean anything because he's not pushing for policy change here and now. When he
Mhm.
took over Twitter, he was like, no more remote work. You all have to be in the office. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like you can't think even through the next step of society of like remote work being practical and efficient and viable for human beings. How are you sitting there going like, oh, work's going to be optional, like buying vegetables or like growing vegetables or buying them at the store or what? Like you make no sense. Like you're not even moving it incrementally within your own space that you control. It's
It's true.
what are
Yeah.
you talking
You
about? You're
reduce
just
the
saying things.
size. Yeah. Yeah. Reduce him. You reduce the team size by half or more, and then
Hmm.
for I forget how long they were just talking about how they were sleeping in the office.
Yeah.
They weren't even going home. Like they were
Yep.
just working so much they just slept in the office and like each their own. People are going to put that as like a you know here's a badge of honor. I worked so hard I slept in the office type of
Yeah.
thing. Like
Yeah.
cool. I'm just too old for that at this point. I'm
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
you don't need to do that unless it's your company and that's what you want to do. I think there is a responsibility on the founders or the exec team to do that.
Hmm.
Um, but putting it on the employees to do that, I think that's unfair. As I get
Yeah.
older and observe reality and
Yeah.
how much people are getting paid versus how much things are costing, I'm like, no, employees deserve a hobby and have hobbies. Founders don't necessarily, like if it comes down to it, you know. And, um, yeah. So Elon sleeping in the office, cool, great, But everybody else, I'm like, ooh, that doesn't look great.
Well, that just seems like poor, yeah, just poor management. And then it's also just like trying to elevate Twitter to this level of like importance when it's like microblogging, dude. You're not saving lives out here, or like it's it's not that pressured. Um, but yeah,
I
it's
disagree with that.
okay. Go ahead, because
I agree with you. It's not high pressure because of functionality of it,
Mhm,
but it's such an influential platform
right,
that it makes and breaks people's careers or potentially,
yeah,
influential point of political influence. Because, if you think of, I forget what country in the Middle East when there was a big uprising,
oh yeah, yeah,
some spring.
Yeah,
Um,
the spring. I can't remember talking about, but yeah, right. Not the rites of spring, but something. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
yes, I forget the name of it, and it was a big, you know, it was when the citizens want to take back control of the
Mm-hmm.
country. And one of the big, most influential platforms that they were able to communicate on through these government walls, firewalls, through the VPN, and finally get out to the world that things were actually happening was Twitter.
Yeah.
And like that's where I'm like, I kind of like disagree with it because it has the audience to do these things. And
Yeah. Which.
I think it is a really important platform.
Yeah.
Blue Sky is
Which.
becoming that. You know,
Yeah.
yeah,
Which I mean, I understand. I understand that it's important, but I also don't think it's necessary to work 24 hours of sleep at night in order to achieve that. Or if it doesn't happen, it's okay. Like there's other ways people figure out to communicate with on the internet. It's not like I said. I'm not. It's not life and death in that way. I think they would figure out. I think Twitter was the path of least resistance. I think there's other ways that they could have communicated online. I could be wrong,
agreed.
maybe, but
I agree.
um,
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
so that's why I don't. I don't see that, but I just don't. I don't know. It's Musk is just so weird about stuff, and then AI. He's so weird about AI. It just seems like such a strange thing for him to comment on. But it also just it's just I learned a new term. It's called like pseudo event, where it's like the event itself is not what makes it memorable or influences society. It's like people talking about the event. So us just talking about that tweet is what
Mhm.
makes the tweet important, but the tweet itself is just throwaway. So it's like a pseudo event within itself. I get it's a pseudo event. So it's the one I heard it the way I heard it from it was like the Kardashian Marilyn Monroe dress, where like her wearing it. She wore it for like 4 minutes on the red carpet at the Met Gala. It wasn't that big of a deal. Who cares? But the photos themselves and the press around it made it seem like this very important, iconic moment and connected her to
Mhm.
Marilyn Monroe and so elevated her and her status in that moment. But the moment itself meant nothing. It was 4 minutes of just her wearing a dress. Oh,
Interesting.
so it's publicity
Yeah, I
stunt,
don't know much
pretty
about
much.
that.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. It was just a word I'd heard. Um, yeah, Bill Gates also said something recently, but the article was like Bill Gates warns that there's going to be less jobs in the future for people, or humans are creating as many jobs, and even Bill Gates, just from what I read, it was a horrible website with tons of ads, so I don't think I would ever visit it again. But even he didn't address like the social issues surrounding like AI taking over jobs and humans not having those jobs. Like it just was not it just wasn't addressed. He was just like, well, I don't know. He's like, I think people just like play baseball or whatever and stuff like that. Like we'll find different things that are more valuable or that robots can't do. Like no one's going to watch the AI play baseball. They want to watch humans play baseball. So maybe we'll elevate that. I don't know. But again, it didn't address any like I get upset about these thought leaders and these leaders in tech that talk about this like thing like, oh, AI is going to replace jobs. Yeah, no shit. But you're not talking about like the actual future of it. Like it's like if you were reading a sci-fi book, it'd be like the lamest sci-fi book on the planet. It would be like it'd be like robots are coming to take over the future, like take over your jobs. Okay, cool. What are the social implications, or how do we change that, or what's the impact? But like that book doesn't say anything. It just talks about like the future of
Yeah.
robots and how cool they are and shiny. It's lame.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I agree. I mean, if you look at these future forward-looking
Mm-hmm.
things like Star Trek. Star Trek is really amazing when it comes to how thoughtful they've been
Mm-hmm.
around future human society and then exploring space. Like the idea that they're like, oh, if you can do this X, Y, Z, like why don't they have the technology to live forever? And they're like, they do, but because they all agreed on the governance that people shouldn't live forever and actually have an expiration date, um, is part of
Mm-hmm.
the the internal governance of this
Yeah.
enterprise or whatever it's called. And it's like I'm like that's really cool forward thinking,
Yeah.
you know, technologist. That's like an actual technologist thinking forward like that because they're actually looking at the policies and looking at
Mm-hmm.
how that could affect societies or
Yeah.
residents, um, instead of exactly that, someone just coming, just one of these talking heads coming on saying, "Oh yeah, they're going to take the jobs," and like, okay, what does that mean? And they're like, and they just like, then they start talking about something else.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's like, okay, what policies need to be put in place now? What do we need to start thinking
Mm-hmm.
about now? I think that's really, really important. We're seeing it happen in my industry, which is engineering. I'm a software engineer.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, these coding tools like VS Code's uh, Copilot
Yeah.
and Claude Code and all these tools, I'm like, I use them. They're awesome. Like it's turned me from, you know, I'm decently quick when it comes to engineering, or at least getting an MVP up. But
Mm-hmm.
having these tools next to me, I'm like, I'm 10 times faster. It's
Yeah.
crazy. But also that means I don't need a junior engineer, which means those junior engineers, there's no junior engineers being hired in order to turn to
Mm-hmm.
senior engineer because they have to start somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And these people are going through coding camp and like, or actually like traditional universities, or some people I know, some of the best people I know that didn't go to university, like are the best engineers and
Yeah.
whatever. They have to start somewhere, and we're seeing this happen in the engineering world, which is really just eating itself essentially.
Yeah.
Like it's really interesting, and the people who like I feel fortunate enough to have a lot of years of experience where I feel secure.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, when it comes to like these even mid levels
Mm-hmm.
and like yeah, they're like, okay, what do I do now? I have some people who've reached out to me. I'm like, oh, I'll help you find a job, but a lot of people aren't hiring juniors and mids right now. They're all hiring senior and up because they could take these tools, build out an MVP, and
Mm-hmm.
being a senior, they can turn that into an actual production ready product by themselves.
Yeah.
And it cuts the engineering budget in half. Like
Yeah.
it's so crazy. Like it, my business side is like, this is awesome because you can do a lot more with your money or your investment, or
Mm-hmm.
if you raise around or whatever. But when it comes to like the employment side or my tradition, my actual practical side of me
Mm-hmm.
just being an engineer, I'm like, that's scary.
Yeah.
So
Well,
um yeah.
I think that illustrates like the mentality, like, we talk about Musk and Gates just saying, this is going to happen. And then they don't think about the future, everything else in the future too much. These companies are not hiring juniors. And so they're not working underneath a senior developer like you, learning how to spot code or fix code or troubleshoot in order to advance so they can manage a code base. So by the time you age out of your career, whatever that is, and they need somebody else to come in and manage a code base or AI, potentially,
Mhm.
they're not going to have that many people who have that experience. I think probably they're banking that AI is going to get more advanced and not even need you at some point. But um, yeah, it's very short sighted of companies, and But I mean, that's just kind of, I think, kind of par for course.
It's short-sighted. I think it's one of those. I do think it's on. I don't think it's on the backs of non-technical people to figure out, because they're going to figure out a way to save money or
Hmm.
expand their own, uh, their own role, I guess you can say.
Hmm.
Uh, they can be like, oh, I can finally make my own MVP. I don't need a higher technical engineer. Cool. And like they could, if it's a really basic MVP, like they can do it. Like
Yeah.
cool. Kudos to them. They get it launched, all that stuff. Like there's some really amazing tools out there that can do it. If they need something way more complex,
Hmm.
they need to hire an engineer. And what does that look like? But when it comes back to like my original point of like it actually falls, I feel like it falls on us technical leadership to actually find that solution for the juniors, because I don't think anybody else understands it. Like
Hmm.
a non-technical COO, CEO, or you know uh, that realm. It's not that they're unaware. It's just they see. I a lot of times they see engineers as resources and only resources, which means
Yeah.
spend, which means what kind of output we can get from them. And
You're
for
cutting out.
us, we're like, we're humans. We need, we need, salaries. We need, this is what we
Mm-hmm.
want to do. This is our, where we're at. We're getting to that crux of, yeah,
Hmm.
what policies need to be put in place, or what other industries do we need to start looking at? Because if it's a web build, maybe we're not web builders anymore,
Yeah.
and let's go to a totally different industry. That's why, I think healthcare is really important. It's not necessarily web builds. You're looking at now, like, these crazy softwares that you've probably never heard of for imaging. It's
Hmm.
like, okay, how do we help make a robust image solution that, yeah, can early detect cancer, XYZ type of cancer in,
Hmm.
this certain specific area in the body.
Yeah.
And an engineer and hiring a junior and then teaching them how to build for that is very much possible, you know, while these other, non-technical people want to go build the next, I don't know, the next Twitter, the next
Yeah.
X. Like it's like,
Yeah.
what's the next blogging platform? Cool, go run with that. You may just need one engineer to do that now. Cool.
Hmm.
Uh, we'll take the rest of the brain drain essentially and put that into a whole totally different market. And I think it is up to us technical engineers to help facilitate that. I don't know. That's
Yeah. I
how I
mean,
the past year. I'm like, it's actually really, really tough to think about. Yeah.
yeah. I know. I mean, I'm not. Yeah. I agree with that. The type. I mean, you know your job best, and so you'll probably figure out a solution faster than the non-technical people. But I also think it's important to hold everyone's feet to the fire when it comes to this AI stuff and solution, because it's not just, like we said, it's not just going to be your industry; it's going to be everybody's industry that's impacted.
Yeah.
And looking at, and we've always, that's what capitalism is. And yeah, I know you're more capitalist than I am, and I'm very critical of it. So I'll just point that out for the listeners. But I that capitalism is like looking at human hours and labor as a resource and just like as a
It is.
line on a spreadsheet, which I get to a point, but it's like you have to, like, we're getting to where we have to start thinking about what, we can do to, have better outcomes for the future for just everyday people as AI kind of takes over these jobs and starts eating them. Maybe slow down a bit, maybe, figure out possible solutions where juniors can work alongside AI too. Because like you know coding enough to work with AI, but like it's like the difference between somebody who's like a non-native digital and a native digital. Like if you have a junior working with AI from the jump of their career, they're going to probably get something more out of it as they grow along this technology, so the people should be thinking about this. And I think it's, I wouldn't say a cop out, but I think it needs to be like, saying non-technical people, it's not on them. I think it is on them, but I think it's on everybody. So it's difficult for me to like,
Yeah. I didn't mean to make that sound like a cop out. It wasn't,
yeah,
I
no,
wasn't
I'm not.
saying on them. It is, they need to be part of the solution as well.
Mhm.
Um, I think the technical leadership
Please
needs
to
to,
drive it.
yeah,
Yeah.
drive it because it is a resource thing. And it's true.
Yeah.
More capitalistic than you, but it's like, because everyone's time is limited, and understanding like, okay, we have, let's say it, someone wants to build a company
Mhm.
or has, and they say, okay, we're going down to 4-day work weeks and we're still doing the normal 8-hour days for 4 days.
Mhm.
We've lost an entire day of work, which
Mhm.
is with the, we're looking at, then some people are going to be like, oh, with AI, you can actually expand your work hours. And then, or you can look on the other side and saying, oh, with AI, we can actually reduce our human work hours, which is great.
Mhm.
Let AI take over the rest. So as a technical person, you're like, okay, cool. Like, how do we make this happen? And on the technical side of it, instead of just looking at it as here's a high level view, which is the not technical people, they're looking at it in a not technical way of like, okay, we need to reduce the hours by 20% human hours
Mhm.
because the other 20% is going to be taken up by AI.
Mhm.
Yeah. And we're like, okay, how's this look? Do we need to reduce the size of our team? Not necessarily. We keep the same size of the team. Everyone's just working now, just 4 days a week.
Mhm.
Um, where a non-technical person would be like, well, what if we just cut it in half, and, increase this, blah, blah, blah. It's like, that's where I think technical leadership comes into play of like, okay, let's negotiate this. Let's figure out where the good balance is because what we're seeing when it comes to output for technical side of it, if an AI can drive, let's say even 50% of that week,
Mhm.
is it we reduce the team by 50%? Or do we just reduce the time the team is working on it by 50% because we're still getting the same output, you know?
Mhm.
And I don't know. There's a lot to it. It's just all and each company and each industry is going to be different, It's
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
know. It's a really complex problem to be honest.
yeah, it is.
I do think the technical lead it.
Yeah. Well, I think I think technical should lead it. It is going to be a negotiation. And I think it's going to be a fight because, like, I think non-technical. I also think the people with the accountants really and stuff like and investors, and they're just going to be like, well, what's the cheapest route? Let's do that. you know,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
point if it's A or B, and they're both giving you 100% output, which one's the cheapest route? And it's going to be like workforce cut. So cut the workforce, you know, let's let those remaining, however many, like 8 people do the workload that they normally would do throughout the week with the addition of AI, and if AI gets better, then we cut them again and then have that and go down to one person who's working like 40 to 60 hours a week with the assistance of AI, you know, versus, 16 people working like 20 hours a week or whatever it is, and then paying them
Yeah.
full salaries.
So I
But
think go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, no, I think it's just comes down again to like a policy change and like a mentality change of like what we value in society and stuff like that. Like what are we trying to do? Are we trying to like give people meaningful jobs and making a living, or are we just like trying to make money at the end of the day?
Mhm. Both, right? That's the
I
idea,
guess.
you
I
know.
guess.
Um,
I
because
guess.
there isn't a solution. That's what comes out to the policy idea, right?
Yeah.
It's like, no one's thinking about the policy at the government level necessarily because we can't even
Hmm.
figure out our own current policies for normal existence at this point, you
Yeah.
know. while the capital is still flowing, while the economy is still somewhat healthy. And
Yeah.
okay, cool. Like let's think about what that looks like in the future when it comes to like, yeah, what is it for money? Is it for value? It's always where we live in a capitalistic world. Like it's the
Yeah.
valuation needs to happen. Like there has to be some form of growth. And that is tied to employment. That is tied to
Mm-hmm.
people getting paid. Um, but we need to start looking at it at we have the technology to actually have variable salaries, like meaning like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, cool, we can have the accountant. To be honest, we're looking at this now. Let's flip this scenario on its head a little bit then, like
Mm-hmm.
what does an organization look like that's led by the technical side instead? Like, what if we start building companies technical led and we start looking at AI driving the CEO, CFO, and CEO positions?
Mm-hmm.
No longer may not need those positions anymore because we can automate sales, we can automate scraping and
Mm-hmm.
finding these potential, partnerships. We can automate, doing the same thing for reaching out and doing outreach to venture capitalist funds. We can do the same of like, okay, how do we incorporate? What documents do we need? I still think we need lawyers. I still think we need all these specific liability representations,
Mm-hmm.
human side. We can't, I don't think we can ever automate that yet. But with these other functions, let's flip it on its head. What does that look like? And
Yeah.
what's the value then to the tech side? The tech side then needs to expand in order to accommodate those fields. So there's a lot of different solutions we can look at, but at the
Yeah.
end of the day, like we have to create value for the company,
Yeah.
and when it comes to technical side of it, again, it needs to be technical led, I think. And I think we need more juniors onboarded
Mm-hmm.
now because senior leadership is getting older
Yeah.
and the companies that are onboarding these juniors and mids they're going to do really well in the next 5-10 years.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. And I do think it'd be interesting to see with a tech led company where C-suite potentially and like accountants or whatever gets replaced by AI to make these kind of decisions. And honestly, I think legal could even be replaced. I know you said maybe not, but like legal is just a
Yeah.
bunch of arguments with precedents. Like if you just load up a bunch of arguments and rulings,
Hmm.
have AI go at it instead of having two lawyers argue in the court. You know what I mean? It'll happen within the blink of an eye. Um, I'm not saying that there's not errors that's going to probably happen, but I would, these kinds of uh, like I say programming, I've tried programming, my history. I'm not very good at it and I'm very not a fan of doing it, but it is a creative process. Accountant
Mhm.
work, not so much. That's like, spreadsheets and ledgers and just making the numbers work. AI can be trained on that easily. That's data. Legal stuff, that's data. That's like, and I know code is like data, but like, again, there's a creative aspect to it of like how to make it work. It's like writing. It's everyone has their own unique way of coding. So you really, I don't see why you would want AI to do the same thing across the board for every industry doing the coding and programming. But like CEO, those are decisions that could be made, I think, by an AI. And I would think it'd be interesting to see a CEO come in as an AI. And I think that's got a high potential, especially amongst these companies that are uh, pretty much run by shareholders. Think of like the money people would save if they could have an AI Elon Musk. And I hate to pick on the guy. Well, I don't hate it, but I mean, I don't want to keep saying him, but like, however much he got from like the board was like 400 billion or something like that to say on like, you've got AI working for nothing making the same decisions as Elon and or making the same outrageous things. Cause I think at this point, Elon could just be on rank as like Dave Thomas as a mascot of Wendy's and owner of Wendy's, but like he was just out there like promoting Wendy's at some point. That's what I think of Elon Musk. I think of him as more of a mascot at some point of just like saying things to raise the value of stock. But yeah, you have an AI CEO come in, you don't have to put all that money in towards a human being or human beings. You've got it within the company still. And
Yeah.
they can make the same decisions and do the same thing. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, it becomes down to training of like, the bottom dollar is the most important thing, and then like secondary is human rights or whatever. However, a CEO thinks. I don't know how CEO thinks. That's what I'm very harsh on them, but it's.
I don't think that's the case. I think there's a lot of functions that can be handled by these C-suites, right? In an AI environment. I'm putting myself in the let's just say I start a company tomorrow, and I'm like, cool, I have created this, autonomous agent platform, and I've assigned 4 roles. And they're all so they're all I assume all of the roles myself. So let's say I start a company, I'm the CEO, CTO, CFO, and COO. As most founding companies typically do, you're wearing multiple hats anyways.
Yeah.
But as a technical founder, I can say, cool, I built this for myself. And these autonomous agents, or somewhat autonomous, right now I'm just thinking technically I'd have them start at like 6 a.m., and say, hey, like message me when you get, 3 VC leads, 18 potential sale leads, and CFO, look at the books every day, make sure we're on, we're hitting our financial goals. Here are the goals, XYZ, by KPIs. CEO, make sure we have the processes in play when it comes to billables, payables, making sure we're on it for all of our vendors, whatever, all that stuff can be automated, and I can be like, cool, I'm actually the CEO. Talk to me, but everything else has been somewhat automated for me to then review and actually have the human connection to it. Because I think it is really important for C-suite to actually have half their job is actually making business decisions, and the other half of it is making human connections.
Yeah.
In the industry or however you need to, because those connections can then turn into new partnerships or new decisions or new ideas, and saying, oh, cool, like, yeah, I met with so-and-so, I'm going to go have lunch with them tomorrow, and as a human, I'll go and do that. But, so that's what I'm saying. Like, I think there is a really big opportunity for this, I think.
Yeah.
To have that. That's a really, really interesting experiment. And actually creating an actual company, like legitimately, like that experiment, creating and incorporating in Delaware, doing all the things that you would normally have to do.
Yeah.
I'd be curious if that actually would work.
Yeah, I would be too. I think that'd be interesting to try that. I messed around with the agents a couple of years ago when, AI was just getting more mainstream. And I think it was like AI agents that connected with like whatever Microsoft stuff is, the Blue Azure or whatever it is. And it was for like a game dev thing, and it was interesting, but it was like really early stages to do anything with. But yeah, it's just like things just ping ponged around, and each agent had its like own special stuff. And I, honestly, the time frame that you have, like 6 a.m., like, doing like a normal 9 to 5 type of deal, the speed at which agents move I think it'd be hard for humans to keep it. It would be interesting to see how humans would adapt to working with a group, like a company full of agents, like AI agents. That would just be, I feel like it'd be weird. Like I probably would start like 10 a.m. and then finish at like 11 a.m. or something like
Yep.
that. Like, well, my tasks are done for the day. See you tomorrow. Um, I think that would be interesting to see that. But I do think it would be cool to, as a experiment, to test that out. I'm surprised no one has yet. I know we've seen AIs making crypto and making tons of money on Twitter. I don't know what's come of that. That was like a year ago. I saw that on like TikTok or something. Like a
Yeah,
couple of
you're right. Yeah.
AIs do that. No idea what happened. I assume they pulled the rug, and the creator of the AI is living on the beach somewhere. But I don't know.
Where's the what's the tax safe haven? I forget which island. There's an island.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know where it is. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't have
there
enough
are,
money
I
for
think
that.
there are a lot of examples. I think it'd be
Mhm.
interesting for us to go and find them.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because we're seeing examples on the tech side. And I think it's
Mhm.
interesting if we find examples not on the tech side
Yeah.
as well. And then kind of see where. So with so one of the for healthcare, there's one of the big healthcare data management companies, they work with big systems to manage patient healthcare data.
Mhm.
And they're called Epic. And Epic is this huge company. They're actually not public at all. Like they're a private company. They're worth a lot of money. Um, but they just announced their AI initiation or
Mhm.
their plan for rollout for their AI builds and products. And one of them, which I'm actually really scared about, I think all the other AI stuff they're doing is like they're doing like AI cool chats and they're doing like
Mhm.
the normal LLM stuff for understanding patient data. They have a ton of
Yeah.
data. They're they're already a leader in the health industry. I think they're going to be a leader in a lot of different ways. But one of the things that they are working with rolling out is uh, the healthcare coding.
Mhm.
And this is specifically tied to billing. So they're going to work with these
Oh.
big systems and they'll know a patient's history and data. And then they'll get a code. Maybe a doctor's like, yeah, we did XYZ. We need to
Mhm.
bill for this. And I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of denials. I'm
Oh
scared
yeah.
about it. It's because AI is going to be trained. How is it going to be trained? It's not going to be trained to accept more. It's going to be
Mhm.
trained to deny more.
Yeah.
I have a feeling.
Oh
Maybe
yeah.
I'm wrong or Epic, but this is what I have. I assume this is going to
Mhm.
happen. I'm actually really, that's where AI gets into like, we don't, we don't need people
Uh-oh.
to get more and more into health debt, you know? Um, we need people to be more, I don't know. I think I lost my internet. Okay.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, internet kind of dropped out there during your big heroic speech about how scammy insurance is, which I agree with. I assume that's what you were talking about.
Yeah. Interesting it
um,
did that.
yeah,
No, joking.
interesting. I'm
Well,
sure.
my
No, I'm
VPN.
sure. Yeah, I'm sure it'll come up again. I'm sure we'll have plenty to talk about when it comes to insurance and denials. I think they're doing it already as is. It's the same with like applications for jobs. There's already AI
Yeah.
screening for that kind of stuff. It's probably just not as robust as what they're doing to do. But yeah, so that's our first episode, which I think was pretty decent. We'll have more to come, and won't be as awkward as this, hopefully, when I'm closing out. But uh, yeah, is there anything that you wanted to plug that you're working on? I know that you're working on AI stuff. Um,
Yeah, so I'm doing some research right now. I think the autonomous AI is really interesting.
mhm,
I've been following this for a few years, and one of my uh, favorite projects, and I'll link it in the notes. It's called Baby AGI, and it's a very
mhm,
small, simple version. They're trying to get into a very simplified version of AGI. I
mhm.
branched off a bit and started doing some research with it. I've now started creating my own AGI platform to test. So I have that, and I'm going to begin coupling that with some quantum computing processes, but that's more to come. That's a big project. So, uh, yeah, I'll put my link in there.
Yeah,
It's called MSI, and yeah,
and
I'll put that in.
that's your personal one, right?
That's my personal one. Yeah, that's gonna be my primarily my research, and we'll see where that goes. Um, it's a really interesting problem set. Um,
Yeah,
and yeah,
and you're going to be doing some vibe coding, I believe, on this channel as well. I think you sent me over a link. I watched a bit of it. So you're just going to be working with strictly with AI to build stuff. Is that correct? Is that right?
yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So I'm going to vibe code. My research is going to be primarily open source anyways, so might as well just
Hmm.
kind of just build build in
Okay.
public
Yeah.
as much as I can. It's going to be a lot less me talking. Um, my face may not even show on it, to be honest. But
Okay.
yeah, I just want
That's
to
fair.
show like how I use these agents if I use any new ones. And with my research, maybe kind of just explore these outcomes and yeah, just show
Hmm.
people how it's
Cool.
working. Um, yeah, we'll see. That'd be cool.
Cool. All right. Well, if you are interested in following along with my brother Tim and his work with AI research and Max Sci, that's or MXSci, MXPSI.com. Uh, yeah, click subscribe on here, click like if you like this, and then go over to the website as well. But yeah, check out some of his vibe coding and his AI research. We'll continue to follow along with that and also continue talking about AI. We'll have another episode up next week. Planning on doing these weekly, and also getting a newsletter together over on Substack. But that's work in progress currently, as well as the logo, which I'm currently working on. So, and I'm trying not to use AI because I am kind of not friendly with it. Um, that's kind of where I'm at with things. So, anyways, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. I hope you liked this episode, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.